I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty obsessed with Stranger Things right now. When I found this hoodie in a charity shop, I thought I could make something really cool. So I decided to make something for my niece just to watch the finale in. Let's get it. Literally, as soon as I saw this hoodie in British Heart Foundation, I knew I had to make something cool out of it. So I'm thinking along the lines of like a cropped corset hoodie combo. So the first thing I did was crop the hoodie just over the bust line, and I'm keeping that for later. The Hellfire logo was really close together on the front of the hoodie, so I decided to cut round each part and use them individually. This was like a jersey material, so it wasn't going to fray, so I didn't need to worry about any of that. I could just stick them on the panel piece. Then it was like a giant jigsaw to try and get all the panel pieces cut out of the remaining bits of the hoodie. With all the pattern pieces cut out and I had like next to no fabric left, I decided now was the time to decide where I wanted the design to sit. At this stage I always get really excited because I can see it starting to develop how it's going to look when it's finished. For the pattern pieces that didn't have any logos on them, I wanted to do something cool, and I had this idea and I thought I'm just going to run with this. So I basically cut the same shape panel pieces out of red leatherette and then sewed them down to the jersey. I then used Thready Mercury, my tabletop machine, to hit it with a zigzag stitch on that logo to get it sewn down. So the panels that I'd sewn the red leatherette on, I then went back to my workstation and drew 1-inch lines all the way up each of the panels. I then cut those lines open, but being very careful not to cut the leatherette in the back, giving me something like this. I then took that panel piece over to Thready Mercury, and each one of those that I'd cut, I turned over and ran a straight stitch all the way down, giving me this awesome effect. Now finally we're moving on to actually sewing the thing together. So I clipped the pattern pieces in place and went back onto Thready Mercury, hitting it with a straight stitch. I am obsessed with bias binding at the moment. I bias bind everything, and this corset was no exception. Look at this beautiful red. Bias binding done, it was time to move on to the closure, and I was just going to use some laces. There are so many ways to create a closure for a corset, but I normally just make loops with the laces and sew that down in place. Once the loops are sewn down, you then fold it over and run another straight stitch just to kind of reinforce it, and it gives you this loops effect. Closure done, I passed it off to my niece to take it out for a little spin. Continuing my bias binding obsession, I added some to the bottom of the hoodie as well, and I feel like it just kind of tied everything in. Big shout out and thank you to Misha, my niece, for doing this for me. She wasn't very well, bless her, and I was like, please just try it on. I'm always searching for things to rework from charity shops, so if you like that sort of thing, well, follow along for more.